Hello everyone, Jobexi here, and welcome to my tutorial on how to press buttons and such on various controllers of the day. The first thing I'm going to discuss is the Nintendo 64 controller. Here we have the old classic from the ancient days, Nintendo 64. This will be used to play such wonderful games as Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, and of course the wonderful Super Mario 64. Of course, there are many other games that one could play on the N64, and you might have a great deal of a better time doing so, but those are the games that I grew up with on this beautiful console with this excellent controller. Look at that design. It's like a trident, or like one of Neptune's big pointy I don't know. We got like buttons back here, we got like ports and slots, and how do you hold it? Is it one of these? Do we want to do one of these or both? Maybe, I don't know how to hold it. It's great, except that I do. Okay, for various games, usually in the Mario Party, I think it was actually only in the original Mario Party because they got sued or something like that, they have you rotate this joystick. This is very bad. I've broken three controllers trying to rotate the joystick. So let me give you the method you want to do if you want to do two things at the same time. Those two things being break the controller and also have a really bad blister in the palm of your hand. You could just do one of these. I don't even want to do it, because look at that. Look at the texture on that controller. I'm feeling like you can't. It's bad. If you want it, that's bad. It hurts my hand even. Now they sold gloves. So you can kind of, this is like my glasses cleaner, but they sold gloves so you can do that and it's not a problem. And that's a great deal better. Like, it didn't hurt my hand, but it's not any better for the controller, and I'm not certain it actually goes any faster. You could try one of these. You know, that might work. Try going one of these. I don't have a preference over clockwise or counterclockwise. It's just one of those things. You do it the way that you do it. That's probably the fastest way to do it, just kind of twiddle the joystick like that. That's probably as fast as that's going to get. This is in several mini-games in Mario Party. My favorite tactic for those mini-games is to hope that they don't come up, personally. There are other games, for example, I believe it is Pokemon Stadium? Pokemon Stadium, I believe, has a minigame which requires you to press L and R at the same time very, very quickly. Now, what I usually do is I kind of hooch back, put the controller, the big long point, between my knees, and just do one of these. Now, I'm not holding it here because it would be like between my knees, but assuming it can be held in place, what it is, I would just kind of wail on it like this, like I'm typing furiously on a keyboard, but the only two keys I'm looking for are L and R. And I don't think that that's any faster than anything else. If you've got really fast fingers, you can try to do this. The double tap approach is one, if you're looking carefully, because it has to alternate. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. If you could be really fast with that, that's probably the fastest way to go, because you get 2 clicks per time. Like this may be more reliable to do one of these. That's probably more reliable. But if you do one of these, that's good. There are other mini games in the Mario Party series which require either A and B or A and Z. Now, A and Z is interesting because you could do it one-handed, and you could just do one of these motions, kind of. There you go. Yeah, see, because you're not reeling it in because it's a Mario Party mini game. So it's just what you're doing. You're hitting it A and Z. Now you can twiddle the controller. So on the upswing, it hits the A button. Your thumb hits the A button. On the upswing, so hit the A button. And on the downswing, it's the Z button. You can kind of do that, and that's okay, I guess. It's no weirder than, it's no weirder than waggling around a Wiimote, as we've all done in recent days. No weirder than the waggle. It's just one of these. You just kind of got to work it. Yeah, the A button and the Z button. You could do that. Some I've seen ignore the Z button altogether, and that's okay, because the only other real method of using the Z button is perhaps one of these, and that's weird. So to alternate between A and B, as is common in similar games. I've seen people do one of these. I've even done it back before I adopted a different technique. You can do this. It's a little bit cumbersome to kind of hold the controller and kind of do one of those, and it's not very fast. If you've got really fast fingers, this approach, well, if you hit the right keys, I'm hitting this approach might be better if you've got really fast fingers. And right now that might look pretty fast. But there is, for me, there might be a better thing for you. It's all personal preference on what you as the gamer can do. But for me, for my money, what I do when I want to hit the A and B buttons, okay, I hold the lower right hand corner in the palm of my hand like this, and I hold the upper left hand corner of the controller in the palm of my hand like this. Now the reason for this tactic is that this controller, it's such a beauty. This controller, it's a little bit cumbersome otherwise, so you have to make sure you have a good firm grasp on it. I'm going to put my left thumb on the B button and my right thumb on the A button, and I'm just going to rock it back and forth. And that's it. And if you want, you can get really fast, and you rock it back and forth, and you don't even need to move the left hand if you're moving your right hand. Everything stays firmly in place, and it's just like the kind of like the A and Z button, one of these. Yeah, it's that same type of thing, but with the A and B button. And there you go. And I've gotten extremely fast, extremely high scores with the A and B button. If you want to do just the A button or just the B button, this is also an option. You could just move the A button, move your left thumb from the B button just to overlap the A button a little bit. And this takes a little bit more skill because now you have to come in for the A button and then get out of the way so the other thumb can come right in for the A button. And if you could do that fast enough, you can get very, very, very high scores. Now notice I'm also using the tips of my fingers, so I don't have to move each thumb very far. It's not like, that doesn't work. One of these. And I've gotten very, very high scores in that. And this is the method that you'll see me using if you ever see me play Mario Party with an N64 controller. But you probably will not, because I emulate them and I use one of these, which is interestingly worse. I actually won't be treating this particular controller because you could use all of the things that you learned for any of the controllers for essentially all controllers with just a few simple switches, which you're all smart enough to be able to figure out on your own. That's all I have for you for the N64 controller. This is a controller of, oh, it's not, one more thing, but this is a controller of beautiful design. And this was really the first step, in my opinion, of Nintendo branching out to something new, something that was a little bit different, adding the joystick here, and I think it really panned out. One last thing, if you play Mario Party, and this is actually the thing that spawned this video, I received lots and lots of questions. How do you play Mecha Marathon from Mario Party 2 so fast? How can you go so far? And the answer is I'm cheating. No, it's not. The original Mecha Marathon on my channel that isn't a Let's Play, doesn't have voiceover or face cam, that version of Mecha Marathon, interestingly, is not emulated. That's me with a real physical controller, really physically playing the game on my real physical N64. So those scores are real and are not faked whatsoever. How do I get such a high score? It's not the highest score in the world, but people are impressed, so I indulge. How do I get such a high score? And it's the exact same thing as I did with the A and B, or just the A, but it's a little bit harder because now you need to use your entire thumb. Your entire thumb goes pow, and then your left thumb goes pow. And I overlap just about by half. So you really can't see because of the way things are set up, but half of the button is obscured by my right thumb, and the other half of the buttons are obscured by my left thumb. And we just do the same rocking motion. You got it. This one's a little bit harder because you have to have your thumb further down. It's a little bit harder to get that grip. Sometimes I wrap my pinky around the base to make sure I have everything exactly where it needs to be, and then we just go to it. And I am out of practice, so I haven't been able to do that, but that'll do. Yeah, that'll suffice. So it's the same thing, it's just a lot harder. for a sustained period of time. I don't know how long Mecha Marathon runs. I think it's a 10-second wind-up time. That's sustainable over 10 seconds. That's definitely something that can be sustained. Moving over to our next beautiful, beautiful piece of engineering, we have the GameCube controller. Personally, my favorite controller of the type. You have the joystick over here, the other joystick down here. Obviously, the PS2 controller has, which I don't have one on me at the moment, has, instead of these two joysticks up here, it has the two joysticks down here and the D-pad up here. Not that great, in my opinion. All of the same rules apply for this. Anything that you might need to hit, you can hit very easily from this. I don't believe that A and Z was still an option, but in case it is, you have always the option of doing this. But I would prefer A and B, because if you have to alternate between A and B, either that, which is very fast, or my favorite. Now this is even easier than the previous method on the previous controller, because it's a nice form factor. It's so small. You could just, not even a problem, there it is. And then it's the same thing, one hand, other hand, pow. You can get crazy, crazy scores like this. And if you have to hit the A button, look at how big, if I wait for my camera to focus, look at how big that A button is. It's huge! That A button, it's over here, is absolutely huge. Look at that. So if you need to hit the A button really fast, oh yeah, it's done. It's like, I think my record, I don't think I was doing it, but I think my record is like 134 times in 20 seconds or something, or maybe it was 10 seconds. I don't know. I'll have to look up the footage. It'll be like there. How do directions work? It'll probably be up here. It's where the footage is. But I forget what my record is. But it's like 134 something in either 10 seconds or 15 seconds. And over 15 or even 20 seconds on a single button, that's sustainable. It's not even a problem. Yeah, that's quite good. And I believe the minigame I'm thinking of from Mario Party 4 is titled Domination, I believe is the name of that minigame. But yeah, it just, if you need to hit the A button repeatedly, it's the easiest thing in the world. Not even a problem. Now there is one weird button press, and of course if I don't cover the specific button presses that your game uses, I apologize, I'm only familiar with what I'm familiar with. But there was one other minigame from Mario Party 4 that was kind of the downhill, not skiing, downhill snowboarding minigame, and I'm not familiar with the exact title, but again, there's going to be some more footage in one of these corners. The goal is, in that minigame, is to press A, B, Y, X, in that order, as many times as you can. Now, I'm kind of cheating and giving away how I do it. But if you want to, you can use your thumb. And you can press A, B, Y, X. And you're going to... If you're playing on easy and you're like really fast and you've got mad thumbs of justice, you can just come right around here and do your A, B, Y, X, and it's no big deal. And it's fine. You can do A, B, Y, X all day. I'm a PC gamer. I'm going to hit myself in the head with my keyboard. I'm a PC gamer. This is what I have to work with. Back in the days when I played lots of Flash games, oh look! And I also played, what was it, Flash Revolution, which is DDR for the computer, so you use the keyboard. Look at that! It's crazy! It's just like a D-pad. So one day I found, oh look! It's just like a D-pad. It's crazy. So I can just, not a D-pad, the arrow keys on your keyboard. This is a D-pad. I'm silly. It's just like the arrow keys on a keyboard. Look at that, all day long. And I could usually get a pretty high score, I think. Yeah, it's really simple to do. Thankfully, they took out all of these, so I have to rotate them. They don't do that anymore. Anything that involves L and R pressing either repeatedly or at the same time. This controller is weird because it has gradations for how far the button can sink in. It's actually registering everything down, so it can tell right now that it's depressed like maybe 30% or 40%, and now it's depressed like another 30 or 40%, so it's like a 70%, and then it's like 90, and then you hear the audible click when it goes in. Okay. My recommendation to you is, if you ever need to alternate really quickly, start the game with them. Well, start the game with them out here, because otherwise you'll mess up the game and it gets confused. But as soon as the game starts, go all the way in for both, and then just as low as see how low I'm keeping these. See how low, and I'm not coming all the way up, coming all the way down. And this is actually a big problem for those who play Super Smash Brothers, all 4 instances of the series. This is a big problem using the GameCube controller. I personally use the GameCube controller. It's a beautiful controller, but if you have shield, which is, I believe it's R that's usually the shield key. If you have shield tied to your R button, you may need to shield now. And that R button's all the way up here. It's not like one of these buttons where, hey, your thumb's there, it's on the button, and your shield's already up. Nope. You may need that shield right now, and you need to take all that time coming around, pushing down the button. That's a problem. It may have cost you the game. So most players who are aware of this and decide that they don't want to have that hurdle in their lives decide to map it to something else. I think I mapped mine to X. I think is what I mapped my shield button to. So this is a real thing that interferes. So not only if you're trying to get quick button presses and you want to do something like that, not only if that's what you're trying to do you want to kind of keep it as low as possible, but also note that it may interfere with some other games that you're playing and taking away reaction time that you may need. I don't think there's anything else on this controller that I need, so I'm going to just put this down here, and I'm going to bring up, what is this? It's so strange. It's so different from every other controller that has come before it, except for perhaps the original NES controller. By the way, if you need to repeatedly tap the A button or the B button or alternate on the NES controller, I don't have one on me at the moment, but it works just the same, as I'm going to indicate with the 1 and 2 buttons. You have to hold it a little bit differently, but it's the exact same thing. And the button's much smaller, and it's freaking out because I can't find my system. But the button's much smaller, but you can still do the exact same thing, get really high scores. The only other, obviously there's a lot of waggle, and Nintendo loves to waggle now, and I don't personally get it, but there's a lot of waggle. You can do all sorts of this stuff, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Just waggle harder. When it says that broad sweeping motions are not as perhaps effective as small motions, like maybe one of these, yeah, they mean that. It's a lot harder for the controller to recognize what's going on if you're like, oh, this all the time. It doesn't know what's going on because now it's up here and it has to stop, and now it's down here and it has to stop, and it's over here and it has to stop. Whereas the same exact process goes on if you just go, you know, in this small little box, and it's faster because you're not waving your arms all around, have to cross all that distance. It's just a much better experience. And the people in the room with you aren't scared anymore. It's fantastic. Also, you should use this. Nobody does, but I do. Might use that. A and B button. If you need to alternate between A and B, it doesn't work to do this like for the N64 controller. It doesn't. The only thing I can think of is that. See? That's not too bad. There are worse things in the world than that. And there's your classic Wii Remote controller. Last controller of the video, and then I will get to my other things. This is the Wii U gamepad, and mine at the present time is disgusting because I don't really play. I keep it over there in the corner, and a couple days after this video goes live, you will begin to see my Mario Party 8 footage where I played on the Wii U gamepad. This is not dissatisfying. It kind of went to the opposite. Where can I be so I can see me? It kind of went to the opposite of what the PlayStation did. PlayStation put these little knobby thingies, the joysticks, down here, where you know, right now we have a D-pad and we have our 4 very important buttons. they moved them up here above the buttons, and yeah, now they're here. So that's already a change. Because it's so large, and the games that I play don't use a whole lot of the gamepad. That's probably my fault. But it's mostly just, you know, controlling the game like this, like anything else. This is not terribly uncomfortable. There may be times when you need to do DNR. I believe that was a game in, yeah, it was. It was a game in Mario Party 8. Spoiler alert. That, or not Mario Party 8, Mario Party 10. All that, Mario Party 10. The game is wonderful, but this mini game that you'll see if you watch the footage that you need to do, it's bad, it's terrible, awful, I don't like it. And it's not just because I'm bad at it. I'm quick, you know, and I'm not, that's not me boasting, it's just a skill that I have and I'm thankful for it. It wasn't cutting the mustard, and I wasn't like, no, it's like 5 of these, and 5 of these, and 5 of these, and 5 of these, and it just wasn't working. So, there's that. Same thing applies. If you need to mash the A button, that's the first time I've said mash this whole video. I'm impressed. You need to mash the A button. Same thing. Hold it kind of closer to here, and be careful with your movements. Obviously, you don't want to drop it. You also don't want bad things to happen. Be careful. Careful where you hold it. Have a firm grip, but don't feel any obligation to hold back, because it's just a different kind of waggle. You can hit a whole lot of buttons that way, and that's really all you should need to do on this console. Most of the stuff, thankfully, does involve the touchpad. For example, I believe Monster Hunter 3, and there should be footage of that coming up in the next couple months. Monster Hunter 3 that I played does make extensive use of this touchscreen, which I'm pleased with. And other than that, that should be all of the controllers. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so very much for watching. I always appreciate your support. To those of you who participated in my most recent Heroes of the Storm beta key giveaway, where I gave away 4 beta keys to 4 lucky viewers and subscribers to my channel. There is a link in the description if you wanted to see what that was all about. Thank you for participating, and to those lucky viewers, they have received their keys, and I hope are very much enjoying Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm. I know I am. So thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you in the comments.